Welcome,
Right.
guys.
How are you doing?
Welcome, everyone.
You
Give
right?
everybody a chance to get in.
You can hear me, right? Right.
Welcome, everyone. We just set this up a bit there.
Wait, Mike, can you not hear me? Mike, can you hear me?
All right. Welcome, guys. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everybody on the live on YouTube. Welcome, guys.
Can you hear me, Mike?
All right. Welcome, everyone. All right. I'm going to give you a few more minutes and then we're going to start properly. But welcome, everybody.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Let's crack on and see what the market has to offer. All right. Okay. A bit of dust in my eye there. All right. Let's go. Let me hit record. We can go from here. All right. Let's go. Okay, guys. So welcome to our live analysis session. Today is Monday, the 19th of July. Okay. It's getting closer to the end of the year than the beginning of the year. Can you believe that? It's interesting. All right. Now, I think the data feed is a bit slow, so I might be talking faster than my face is moving. I apologize. We'll get better as time goes on. All right. I think I might switch streaming to another laptop instead of this laptop. Maybe that will help. But yeah, it's been a fantastic time, guys. Let's see what the market has to offer. Pulling up the charts now. Now, it's been an interesting start to the week. The market has absolutely taken off already. All right. We've had a very strong long on USD CHF here. And price has given us very strong price action movement here. And then after we've had a pullback so far. Now we're getting to 130 now. Let's look at the Euro USD and see what's going on here. So Euro USD has come down to the first target, which was beneath these lows here. Now we're going to probably see the price pull back a little bit in this US session. But we have had a strong push short. I don't believe the price is done going short. I still think we have more to do. But we have started off the day from about 50 pips on the short side. And I do expect it to continue. Now I'm just scanning through these to read what the price is doing. So I'll start with Euro USD. I guess it's the most popular pair in the market. So Euro USD here, the price has returned back into this first area for the second time. But I'm convinced now that we're going to get a further short. And I explained. So if any of you remember, I gave out this trade to you guys. If you took advantage of what I gave you as an analysis, then you should still be in some really good profit right now. If you didn't close, but even then it was still great profit. So as I was saying, we had a very important area of demand right here. When the price broke beneath and returned here, this is the trigger for about 190 pips. Now, so far the price has done 200 pips or 203 pips. And we've seen activity. And now when the price returned into this area the first time, we had a pretty strong long, just shy of 100 pips here. And then the next 2 days we had a short and then a stronger short. And now the price returned into this area. We've had another reaction again. And this reaction we got from the price here, if I measure this out, is 64 pips. So straight away, the market is letting us know that this area of demand is weakening. and the supply side is getting stronger. And now we've had another short 1, 2, and this is the third day today. I do expect the price to break below and continue now. So I'm going to be eyeing up all of these areas here to see what the price is going to do. And I'll actually be looking for a short entry instead of a long entry. Now, I want to see how the price reacts. I'm hoping that there is a pullback to lead us into this short. But from the looks of things, just putting out some drawings here or some annotations, I believe Euro USD is going to continue going short. And I think we're going to get a very strong short. Looking at how the price is now, we're in a very critical area. I do think that the next target for Euro USD could really be very far away in a good way. And my next target for Euro USD is back down to November, which is where we had the elections. And I do want to see the price run this low and drop even further. My ideal target for Euro USD has always been a 1.14, this area here. And then my second targets for it was back to the 1.1. But I do think we are going to have a very strong, very, very strong short and a very temporarily strong US dollar. But how the price gets there is the question. For the moment, though, it seems like everything's in favor for a short. But I would like to see if there's a pullback, and then hopefully by Wednesday, that's when the real crux of things kick off. All right, so Euro USD, I'm watching it for a short, and I'm going to use USD CHF now. I might as well because they have opposite pair correlation. Now, Euro USD, again, I still believe that there is a short in line soon to come on USD CHF because there are gaps that need to be filled. However, at the moment, the price is looking quite good for a long. And don't get me wrong, with Euro USD, the price may drop even further and just literally get down here and then go long again. It's possible. Okay, so even though the long it could be potentially strong, I'm watching it from with a pinch of salt as always. So Euro USD, we had a very strong piece of long action here. Uh, I was looking for the long and I had an entry here. The price spiked beneath quite strongly and then took off here. And we haven't really come back ever since. Now, I gave the long as a target, and the first target here was these highs right here, which the price has successfully gone to. All right. And we've kind of formed this kind of area right here, which is an intriguing piece of price action here. And I like to see what the price does when it does return here, because this may be the trigger for a long or for the price to pull back just just beneath here for another long again.
Mike, can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah.
If you go up to the left
Yeah.
on the same chart, there's a demand flip. So can you see those 2 wicks on the left where it's formed like a double bottom before we went massively short? Yeah.
Here.
No, to the left. You just passed it on the yeah. Those see those two double bottoms there.
Yeah.
Carry on going to the left. There should be a demand zone that it literally reached into, and we've just broken it now. So an entry for me would be back into one of the H1 areas there.
So okay, I see it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When it break, because we've now broken above, we've broken past it now. And even when the double bottom was there, the wicks of the candle, we had wick closes, not body closes. So now that we've had a body close, I was watching it yesterday because even if you go to the H4 currently, I think it was Thursday or Friday, we had a demand zone that the price was keeping in. So that was my entry to go short in case he did break that. And now that we've broken above this demand flip zone, I do believe we're going to go back for a further RPO for us to go
Okay.
short.
Okay, that's clean. All right. So on that note, watching the price action here, I guess any put return from here, we can go for a long, or even if the price pulls back slightly lower, then we can go for a long as well. All right. So good shout from Coach Matty. I like that. So let's see what the price action does here. I'm going to be watching USD CHF. Now, I'm trying not to get involved too much in the market. I'm just watching to see what's going on. I always tell you guys that I like to use Monday to observe. Now, sometimes I do trade Mondays if there's a really good trade. For now, I do see a potential trade and probably I might trade it. We'll see. All right. Let's look at pound USD now. Pound USD, of course, it is bittersweet because I closed too early and the market returns. The amount of spiking that happened on Friday was just crazy. Actually, every single day we had so many returns here that it was really a psychological war to really know whether you're going to stay in or not. But the price held. It didn't break past this H4 supply zone here, which was the key. It stayed where it was supposed to stay, and we've had a very strong drop even into the new day. Now, the target for originally for this trade, okay, Now, I wish I was smiling right now to say that I'm still in on all the trades and it's going to hit the target, but I'm not. All right. But I still took some profit anyway, which is most important. No profit is the worst thing you want, is the worst thing. Some profit, still good. So right here, beneath these lows is where the target is supposed to be. And the price looks like it's very aggressively getting there. But before it reaches there, there is a chance the price could possibly reverse. Now, it has been a very strong Monday. Now, the news concerning whether, now, with the pound, what's heavily affecting the fundamentals will be COVID at the moment. Because for those of you who maybe not from the UK or you don't follow the news, you're not too sure, today is supposed to be the day where everything is back open again. So the lockdown restrictions are completely, finished. So, I mean, uh, if I go to where I have, and I'm putting this on my other laptop here. At the moment, it's not clear as to what's going on with that, but it seems as though they might be going through the plan. But we will know by the end of the day, which is what I'm waiting for, to check up on everything. But in the meantime, anyway, pound USD, uh, I'm watching the price here. I'm watching to see what's going on. Let's go. So this is the daily time frame here, and I'm watching to see how the price behaved here. This was my really clean area that I was watching for. Now, I do believe we're going to have a return here. Whenever the market does these kind of things on Monday, unless there's some very strong fundamentals, or even if there is, there's always some sort of pullback. So what I really am waiting for is the pullback. I am actually waiting for the pullback that could happen today, possibly. It just all depends on what happens. Now I'm waiting roughly for around about 2 o'clock to see what happens with the price. And if it gives us something that we can go by to say, all right, cool, we can look for a reversal. All right. Now, on that note, I'm going to pull up pound Japanese yen. Now, pound Japanese yen to me is a beautiful dark horse. And I think is a lot better as a pair to trade than pound USD. And it's just for one simple reason: there's no USD. Because because the US dollar has so much volatility in it, especially right now, a very good strategy if you still want to get, good gains on the pound without and capture the fundamental, moment that we have right now without getting too caught up in the volatility would be pound USD. And if I could go back in time, it's just that the technicals for pound USD was so sweet that I couldn't ignore it. But I would say that pound Japanese yen would have been a better option. Definitely. Now, pound Japanese yen is in an area here on my blue line, which if the price shows any sign of reversal for around about 2 o'clock, then I'll be looking to go for a long, which I know is crazy to do in basically trying to capture, capture the bounce. But when I look at the price action here, I do believe that there is a long due, and this long should provide us another re-entry to go for another short. So I'm going to take advantage of this. I don't think we're complete now. If the price decides to continue going further, it won't take very long to work out what the price is trying to do around 215. By 3 o'clock, really, we should know what the price wants to do. But I'm still watching here. I want to see exactly what the price is dealing with. I'm going to be most likely taking pound Japanese yen, and I'll be looking to look for a trade on that. So I'm watching to see what happens. At 2 o'clock, I'll keep my eyes peeled and see what's going on. All right, let's move on. USD CAD. Now, USD CAD is an absolute beauty. I wish I didn't close the trade that I had on, but I gave you guys an entry from here. Since that point is done 320 pips, which is absolutely crazy. But I do think that USD CAD is still bearish. This dollar strength right now is artificial strengthening at the moment, but I do believe that this is going to turn around and become bearish soon. How the price is going to become bearish, I'm watching to see how it will do. I'm just watching actually where the price is going to maneuver to, what we can possibly see. Uh, we've had some great gains on USD CAD, from this 1.19 all the way to 1.27. I mean, even if you were holding dollars, and compared to Canadian dollars in actual cash or something, if you held on to it for a while, it's good. It's a good exchange here. But I still think that USD CAD is very definitely bearish. I think we just had a pullback, which is part of the game, and I do think that this pullback is just an introduction or the pullback for another short. I don't think this is a reversal where the price is going to keep going on its way back up. I doubt it. If it does happen, that'll be something to see. But to me personally, when I look at USD CAD, I'm just looking for where I can get in for a bearish movement. Now we've had a return to this very specific point, which was my second area of target for the price to go short. So in a broader sense now, if I start from even up here, this is an A swing. Down here is B, and we've just had another return, which I class as C. Now, I'm not too sure to say that the price will start to reverse from a Monday, but definitely I would expect to see some, sort of action here. But during this week, I'm going to be watching what happens around these highs, around, above this high on USD CAD. If we get an entry that signals us having a short, I do believe that we will have one. Now, what's very typical of price actions, when you see these very strong movements like that, very, very steep, it's kind of the rubber band man effect, if you know that story or that principle, or just gravity in general. Market has gravity as well. And so, well, markets have gravity. So if there's a very strong push of demand into the price and we have a very strong movement long, it's going to also follow by a very strong movement short. So I do expect this to happen now. How that reversal will happen, I'm hoping we'll see some of that action today, possibly even tomorrow. And I'm banking on Wednesday. Now, I will look at the news in a moment. This week's news is quite varied. I wouldn't say this week has the heaviest news. I probably think we have probably the least serious news out of the entire month is this week, I think. But it doesn't mean that we can't take advantage of, good price action movements here. So I'm moving my face for a moment so we could look at this. So with USD CAD, I'm not going to touch it. I mean, it's entered into this very strong area of weekly supply. We've had a drop of 61 pips compared to this movement of 205 pips is really peanuts, but still, it is a very strong movement taking place. But I do expect some sort of reversal very soon. But the short that I'm looking for is going to be continuing this bearish pattern because I don't believe that is done just yet. I do think USD CAD needs to go long one more time. The bias on USD CAD is bearish, and it's just that there's some parts of the price action that have not completely done what they need to do. And I'm speaking about these highs here. These highs right here, this double top, to me, I don't think the price is done with these double top formation here. And if I go across to monthly supply here and pull this up. All right, so if I pull this up here for you guys to see, if we went to just the monthly supply area, so we have a one here, and then we can use the larger one. Either of these, even if I use the entire blue candle here, you could use this as an area of supply, but in reality, it should be here from a theory base. So I'm just going to use this area here. We have had no return back to supply. The use case for, or the case for the reason why the price has reversed short from here is not really uh backed by much. Okay, I'm not saying it's not backed by anything because everything is backed by something. But if I just go back to this area here, all right, and I just go across to the left, I mean, the nearest supply zone on the weekly time frame is roughly around about here. If I go back to the monthly here, the price didn't even get inside of there. So even if we were to talk about the weekly time frame, the price hasn't even used this area to go to for a short. And during the coronavirus period, we see that the price came back very close to the high, but not at the same point. So I do think that this is just part of the game, and we are going to have another short. And the short should load us up for enough energy on the bullish side to go long, if you want to think of it like that, or enough bullish pressure. So for me, really, from the monthly time frame, I'm expecting USD CAD to at least give us another short back into this area here. It's a very strong area of monthly supply, which the price is cleanly broken above. So I believe a return in here will have large pools of bullish liquidity that we can use to then see the price, at least even if it gets back to here or back to the true monthly supply, then we go for a short. So this is what I'm really keeping my eye on. I think USD CAD is a beautiful short waiting to happen. We just need the right signal for that to happen, and I'll be looking to sell. Now, it's great to me. I mean, it could have sold from here, which we did have, but I sell from here. I mean, already if the price does what we're looking for, that's 812 pips. So I'll be making sure I'll be swinging USD CAD, looking for the highest entry possible. And I do expect to see some really good movement there. Okay. So
Um,
look out for
right.
that. Yeah.
You mind having a look at NZD J what's the NZD JPY? NZD USD and pound NZD. I think there's something. I think we have something for this week.
Okay,
So
pound NZD. Okay, so let me do NZD USD. So
actually do pound NZD first actually because I think that one is a lot more cleaner as to what we want to do. I'm looking at a long temporarily for a short to happen.
okay, let me see this. So pound NZD. So I guess we should do the first recap first, which was this trade that I actually gave to you guys. All of you on the live, if you didn't take this trade, it's your own fault because I gave you guys a really good trade right here. We had a very good point of reaction right in this demand zone here. And it was actually in the area when I said you guys could sell. It actually returned here whilst we were on the live last week. And it's done a great number of pips. Now, the price has already pulled back long quite strongly. We've had a return, we have had a pull of 135 pips at most and seems to be pushing further. Now, pound NZD's price feed, at least on Hugo's way, is not very clean. This is the only reason why I don't trade it much because I don't like the candles. They're a bit messy. But nonetheless, the price action is still clean. What I will look for here, I think this is quite a simple trade. I think that in terms of a long, I would use the H4 here. I'm just going to watch how the price here closes here now. This H4 area, if we got 9 minutes to see whether the body of the candle will close outside of this area. If it does, then I'll look for one more simple return and just a push for a long to fill out all of these wicks that have been created from the price rejections that we've seen. And my target personally, if I was to take this, would be anywhere from this high, which is the Friday's high. I do see some cluster of highs higher up. So the second target would be possibly even back to where we started from. And if, which is a big if the price is satisfied with going long, we may actually have a long which produces either these highs run, which here I'm going to put a supply zone here, because there is a little bit of price inefficiency on pound NZD that I've observed, and I would like to see how the price will deal with it, which is for the price to come back into this supply zone, which hasn't been returned to yet. And plus we have multiple, daily highs that have not even returned here. And then after from there, give us a nice short back down to somewhere around about here or even lower than that. So this is the picture that I have. And I mean, from a psychological point of view, if the price returns somewhere near to 2, which is a round number, I would expect the price to get, one, £1 gives you 2 New Zealand dollar. That figure right there is a very strong psychological level. So the price could lead to there and then give us a short before it goes to where it needs to go to. But it's how the price closes right now. There's a lot hanging here. We could actually have a long or we could actually have a short. But I think the triggers for me would be something of this nature. And if the price wants to pull lower and then go long, then possibly we'll see that. Now, on that note, let me go to NZD USD as you kindly asked. Let's have a look and see here. So pound NZD, similar to NZD USD, similar to many other US dollar pairs, have taken a dive this morning based on the strength of the US dollar increasing quite drastically. To me, when I look at the price action, I do see the bearish side of this market. We have reached some good lows and some great targets. Again, for me, as I've always been saying with NZD USD, I wouldn't want to try to trade this long yet until the price gets back here at least. There's a set of lows here that I believe the price will run. So I'm going to line this up here for you. I do think that we should get at least a dip into supply. If there's going to be any substantial reversal, I don't think it's good enough for the price to just form certain reversal patterns. I think that the price should return back into a strong area of demand. And the next one on the list is back at 68. So from where we are right now, that is 70 to 80, or seems to be 80 pips exact, so near where my blue line is. And then from here, I do expect NZD USD to come back up here. Now, NZD USD has a supply zone here that we haven't had a return on the price to. So I would like to see this kind of action here. If it wants to short again, that would be great. Now, if the price does continue short and it breaks beneath here, then I'll be intrigued to go for it. Now, it's hard because with pair correlation, because there's heavy fundamentals on the US dollar and very heavy fundamentals also on the pound, It's hard to pull a good pair correlation from NZD USD and pound NZD. It's a difficult one to do because if if we are really open completely in the UK, then the pound will gain some strength, and that will cause pound NZD to possibly go long. But what I am going to do today is I'm going to flip the switch, and let's have a look at some pair correlation analysis, strength analysis from a different view. So I'm going to put this out here. So I'm going to get some water. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to pull up TradingView, and I want to do a comparison here. Let's have a look at the relative strengths. Now, if you want to find out relative strengths of currencies, you wouldn't be able to compare them directly one to another. And there are limitations to pair correlation, which is, okay, every currency can have different fundamentals at different times. Just as simple as that. So what I mean by that is, and I will show you guys an example here. I'm going to demonstrate this to you. All right. Now I'm going to switch over to charts now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use gold as the calibrator for this, or I'm going to use gold as the standard, okay, when we're comparing currencies. And I explain to you as I move along what we're doing here. All right. Let's just put this here. So let's have a look at gold versus the pound. And then we're going to compare that to gold versus the US dollar. And we want to see the difference in strength of the two. Now, why would I use gold? Now, gold itself, okay, is based on true supply and demand. In theory, there is well, I would say above ground anyway. Above ground, okay, there is a finite amount of gold. There is an actual figure that you can find out how much gold has been actually exists. I mean, of course, there's always going to be deviations to that because of black markets in gold. But in general, okay, I'm going to switch the screen here for you as I'm talking. But in general, there is an exact figure you can work out for how much gold there is. So gold has a finite supply, which means it has it has a real or true, to a certain degree, supply and demand. So when we use gold, because currencies, all right, currencies are not money. Okay, just as a quick economics lesson, currency is not money. It's an exchange of value, or an exchange of money. It's an exchange of value from one to another. Okay, so when we look at gold, all right, when we look at a currency, currencies are affected by so many different factors. Gold is not affected, I mean, in the broad sense, by itself. If the government changed the laws to do with, let's say, monetary policy, the shape of gold is not going to change. The chemistry of gold is not going to change. The physics or the chemistry or whatever is not going to change of gold. But with a currency, it will do. Not necessarily the actual tangible. Now, don't get me wrong. Not the actual piece of note is not going to transform. Okay. But one thing that governments can't do is that they can't create gold out of thin air. They can create currencies out of thin air. They can print more currency, but you can't print more gold, because gold, there's a process you have to mine it out of the earth. You need to actually locate it, source it, clean it, and pull it out of the earth. So the supply and demand is a lot more true compared to a currency. So there's a very cool feature that you can do here on TradingView. Okay, and you can do this for free. You just have to sign up with them so that you don't keep being annoyed by emails. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare here gold versus the pound versus gold. In this case, we'll talk about the New Zealand dollar. So pound or gold NZD. Now, a key here when you're doing this, guys, make sure that you use the same. This is important. Use the same broker price feed for both. Okay, don't try to use gold versus the pound on FXCM and then after go and use, I don't know, gold NZD on Oanda. Okay, because they have different price feeds. Okay, so those different price feeds will affect the price point. So just to keep things as clean as possible, you want to make sure you do it in that sense. Now I'm going to change this to line. Okay, and what we're looking at here is very simple. So I would use the day because different time frames. Now, I haven't got enough time to go through why we use different time frames, but just as we're looking at here now, the orange line here is the New Zealand dollar, okay, and the blue line here is gold versus the pound. Now, because gold is kind of like, now, if you do chemistry, gold is like what we call the spectator eye, and it doesn't really do anything in the beginning at the end. It's just there to spectate. So this allows us to have a better view. Not the, it doesn't mean we have the best view, but just a better view of the relative strengths of currencies. Now, this is kind of an intraday, longer period of like longer perspective. Now, according to this comparison here, now gold versus the New Zealand dollar has a change of minus 79%. So the New Zealand dollar has lost strength, okay, against gold by 0.79%. And the pound has lost strength, according to this, against gold by 5.10 or 5.1%. Okay, now in this case, they're both minus. Now you can have positive and minus figures. Now in this case, a minus number means they're weaker against gold. The positive number means stronger. Now, whichever one is more negative is the weaker one. So according to this, it's saying intraday at least that the pound is weaker than the New Zealand dollar by a factor of 4%. Okay, this is what it's saying. Okay, because we have gold is having a stronger effect on weakening the pound compared to the New Zealand dollar. Okay, if I go to the hourly and we change this over, let's have a look here. Now, according to the hourly, which is more of an intraday day trader standard, gold is actually gaining strength against the pound compared to the New Zealand dollar. Now, you're going to have to learn to quantify these details, and we have courses for you to understand how to do that. But for now, according to this, the pound is actually stronger than the New Zealand dollar, okay, by a factor of 0.42%. Okay, now if we translate that over to the charts, I'm going to switch over to the charts for just a moment. Let's look at pound NZD and what it's doing right now, which is more realistic to our time frame. So if I go to pound NZD here, let's go to the H1. So if you look at today, we see that the pound has gained strength indeed against the New Zealand dollar by a factor of 136 pips. So this is good, accurate to a high degree. Okay, and it's still showing that the pound is stronger than the New Zealand dollar. Okay, now let's have a look at NZ. I'm going to add in, we need to add the US dollar here so that we can have a comparison of all three. So you can add as many symbols as you want, or almost as many as you want. Now let's put gold versus the US dollar here. So gold versus the US dollar, I'm going to use the same broker. Let's go here. All right. So I've added gold versus the US dollar. Now you can hide and show. So we don't need pound versus the US dollar right now. We need the pound versus, sorry, the New Zealand dollar versus US dollar. So I'm going to hide this one here for now. It will still show up here, but we can see that according to this, the New Zealand dollar has gained strength against the US dollar. Now the US dollar seems to be creeping up here. The US dollar is creeping up here, and the New Zealand dollar hasn't really changed. It's still at 1.01%, but it seems that the US dollar is pushing a bit higher. It started off lower off today at 12%, 0.12, and now it's at 0.40, and it seems to be continuing on. So according to this right now, according to today, NZD USD should be going long. So let's have a look and see. Is NZD USD going long? Okay. Now we just saw that pound NZD is going long, right? And according to this, NZD USD should also be going long too. So if they're both going long here, this is where pair correlation has its limits. Okay, because there are different fundamentals going on. Now let's have a look at NZD USD here. So according to NZD USD, so we've had a short so far. So the New Zealand dollar is weaker. Well, according to the charts, the New Zealand dollar is seeming to be weaker than the dollar. But we have had a long just happen right now. Okay, so they're not that they don't have a pair correlation, but this helps you to see how weakly or how tight the pair correlation is compared to the technicals. Technicals will always be supreme, but this is also a way for you to find out what's going on. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that. All right, let's switch back to the charts. I'm going to end off with looking at gold. Let's have a look at gold here. So gold has just given us a very strong reaction here, and the price has reversed quite strongly. Now I'm looking for pound USD and pound Japanese yen, as I said. They're still doing their thing. They're pushing so strongly short. All right. I'm trying not to think about the fact that I was in these trades from very high up and I closed them. But I still did the trader thing to do, which was to close on Friday, especially because we had such crazy price action during last on Friday and Thursday. I didn't want to take the risk of being out of profit for when I could have secured some profit. So I'm leaving it as it is. Now, gold versus US dollar, we can see we can see that strong gain from 0.12% to 0.40. Gold is really, really gaining some strength right now on um, against the US dollar, and the price is pushing very strong. Now let's have a look here. So to reanalyze what we're looking at, so I told you guys that with gold, I don't trust it to go long just yet. There is a gap here that needs to be filled, but I did see that watching the price again, gold has a funny way of doing things, and from the higher time frame on the daily here, we do have a demand zone also. Now it's not the most neatly presented price feed demand zone, but it is an area of demand where it seems the price has gone long from here. We've had a break beneath and now a return. So as I said to you guys, to confirm what we were looking for, I said that I wouldn't take I wouldn't take gold long unless we had very clean closes within this area. If I see a body close or the price get near the edge, then I'll be wanting to get out. Now you can see here that in fact gold has done just that. We've had a very strong break beneath today in these last 4 hours, and there seems to be a return here, which looks like an entry for us to go short in a moment. So I think I'm going to be taking this trade short. I don't have enough time to sound the alarm, so if you're in the library and you want to capture this trade, go for it. But it looks like gold is about to return and give us an entry. So I'm going to place an entry here and take advantage of this short. And I do believe that gold is going to hit the same target that I was looking for, which is back down to this low here. And if it does anything lower than that would be great. But I do believe that gold is going to give us a short. I remember, it would be nice as well because I'm getting my own back on gold, because gold was really annoying. And there's a lot of inefficiencies on the short side that need to be filled out that the price didn't do, as such. So now we have an opportunity presenting itself. I'll be looking to sell gold today because I think we have a very good entry today on our hands. It's not completely done yet. It needs a little bit more of work. But as soon as the price gets into this region right here, I'll be looking to trigger a sell. Around this area here would be good for me. 811. I'll keep my stop loss quite tight for the first entry. If I see the trade pushing the way that it should go, then I'll be looking to take multiple entries here. So I like this price action here. This is more what my cup of tea. Now there is a potential for it to push higher to 1819, but let's just see what the price gives us here. At the moment, it's done what we need quite cleanly. So I'm going to be watching out for all of the different nuances in the price and see what exactly the price is trying to do. Okay. If it pushes higher than that, then there, of course, we can always make adjustments to our trades to make sure that it suits what the price is doing. But for now, the price looks really, really good for me for a short. And if it does break above and continue and go long, then can go for a long and take it back to the highs. So gold is in a nice technical place that we can go for. So those of you in your live, I hope you guys enjoy that. That'll be the end of the live stream. Everybody take care. All right, I fooled you. I'm not done yet. Okay, I always promised I would do. So on Mondays, I always do the news, guys. I know some of you be hurting. It's okay. I'm going to put out the news. All right. But that's really my analysis for gold. So I'm going to go on the news here. Let's have a look at the news calendar for a week. All right. Again, remember, we're using the fundamentals to plot out how we're going to grab the opportunities for the technicals here. So I'm going to pull up FX Street here for you guys. Let's have a look at what's going on. See the news. All right, so economic calendar is loading up. Now, I've already had taken a sneak peek, I'll be honest, of the news from last week. All right, as I said, I kind of have a picture of what's going on. There isn't much this week in terms of heavy news unless something is added. I mean, there is high impact news. Potentially, there is high impact news every single week. There's only probably been 1 or 2 weeks this year where there's been no high impact news whatsoever. And it's usually extended holidays or just different things going on. All right, but looking at what we have here, all right, so far, and I'll make sure that this is right. Now it's not showing the whole thing. I want to apply this because I really want us to see what happened today already. It's not showing up for a minute. Let me refresh that. Here we go. So on Monday we've had low impact news for most of the day. We had a medium impact speech, okay, coming from Haskell from the Bank of England. Now tomorrow and into tonight, we do have the interest rate decision for the People's Bank of China. But again, unless you're trading some sort of Chinese forex pair or you're trading a Chinese denominated asset, then this wouldn't really disturb you too much. I mean, it might cause the price of gold to move somewhat, because I guess investors in China, maybe they might have to put more gold in or whatever might happen, or put more money put more yen into gold if the inflation is getting too high or interest rates are getting too high and things like that. We also have the Royal Bank of Australia's meeting minutes, which will be, outlining the monetary policy that the Australian Bank, Bank of Australia is going for. Um, on a Tuesday, same time at 9, as always, we have the European Central Bank lending survey, which is just a survey to work out, how much lending they've done to banks and institutions. And then that will be the only real high impact news. Into Wednesday, we don't really have a juicy Wednesday of news at the moment anyway. The only high impact news again is from Australian dollar. So maybe we might switch our focuses this week to trading Australian dollar pairs. Maybe AUD/USD would be a good bet. We can grab some opportunity from there. We have Japanese yen news. Again, repeatedly, Japanese yen news is not really the most reactive. I mean, it's probably the most resistant pair to news, whether it's high, medium, low impact. Okay, now things get quick, and this is what my crux of the week is. The juicy part of the week for now is the euro. Okay, we have the interest rate decision and the ECP's deposit rate decision, which I believe will stay the same. Okay, and then we also have a speech at 1:30. So for me, I will be targeting towards euro and the Australian dollar. Now, a key here, looking at the news here, most of the news seems to be coming from the euro and from the Australian dollar. So euro AUD might be a good bet for us to look at. Euro USD will be fantastic to take advantage of. However, the euro is the most notorious news pair in the entire market. It is actually even worse than the US dollar. The euro, for those of you who've been trading for any measure of time and you've been in euro news or watched it at least, know that the European interest rate decision news and any European news that's very high impact comes with a lot of spiking, like 60 to 70 pips of spikes in the other direction before going in the direction the market would like to go in. So I would say to you that if you're going to trade any of these, don't try to place a trade 1 minute before the news opens, because you really will hurt yourself. One time I did that. Everything was technically correct of what I said. The entry I had was perfect. However, when the price got to my entry for a buy, in this case, the euro versus the US dollar spiked 60 pips below my entry. I had a stop loss of about 10 pips and it stopped me out for the full length of 60 pips. I didn't get stopped out until 60 pips, even though I had a 10 pip stop loss because there wasn't enough liquidity to close my order. And then, to make matters worse, the price spiked all the way back with a body close inside of my entry on the 1 minute time frame, in fact, and then went long. But because I was so disheveled by the movement, I didn't actually press the buy button to recover at least. And the rest is history. I lost more money than I was supposed to by a long shot. And so I would say not to be afraid, but you should be very wise. If you're in the correct direction on a piece of news, keep your stop losses to break even just before European news comes out. If an entry hasn't appeared yet, don't try to force one because possibly the news might produce one. Okay. So please, when you're following, going around with European news, please be careful. All right. And we also have more high impact news again from Australia. So it seems that the Australian dollar and the uh, the euro are the main focal points. Now, which is quite strange for Friday, but Friday has the most high impact news for the entire week, which is strange. But nonetheless, I guess it will be a very interesting Friday then. Okay. So we have high impact news primarily in the morning, and then into the afternoon, we have retail sales from Canada. We have medium impact news from the US dollar. So I guess Friday probably maybe we may see the reversals in the other direction or continuation. But Friday has been quite good this week or this last week. Let's see how good it will be. So this is the outline for the news. If nothing changes, there isn't really much. There is a speech again, another Bank of England speech at 9:30, which I guess will have effects on the pound. But we'll keep our eyes peeled. So I hope you guys enjoy that. There isn't much for today. I'm just watching gold carefully. I'm sharing my screen. All right, gold is pulled back to where I'm looking for. So I'll be looking for an entry here, guys. I hope you guys enjoy that and everybody